All right, guys, so we looked at property flags in the last video and how we can set specific properties to configurable, enumerable, writable. We can set those to true or false. In this video, I'm going to show you how we can seal and freeze objects in all their properties. So sealing and freezing are a little different. With sealing, it prevents properties from being added or removed to the object, but you can still change the existing properties. Freezing prevents properties from being added, removed, or changed. So basically, you lock down all the properties in that object. So let's go ahead and try this out. I'll just do this down here. So I'm going to create a new object. I'm just going to use my rectangle object, and let's say name. Set that to rectangle1, and let's set a width of 10 and a height of 10. Okay, now let's first of all get all of the flag values. So we're going to get all of the descriptors. So let's say const, actually we'll use let descriptors, and I'm going to set that to object dot get own property descriptors, so plural. That will get me the descriptors for all of the properties, or the flags for all the properties. So we'll pass in our rect object, and let's console log descriptors. And by default, these are all going to be true, right? So it's configurable, enumerable, and writable for all of these. So what I want to do now is seal it. So let's say, actually, let's go up above here, and we can say object.seal. That's the method we want to use, and then pass in the rect object. If I do that, now if we look at the properties, you'll see that configurable is now set to false on all of the properties. So let's try to, let's see, I'm going to comment that out, and let's try to add a new property. So we'll say rect object.color, and let's set that to red. And then I'm just going to do a console log of the entire object. And you'll see that that was not added, so I'm not allowed to do that. Let's try and delete. We'll say delete rect object dot name. If I do that, you'll see name is still there. So I can't add I can't add or remove, but I can change. So if I try and do, let's say rect object.width, and we'll set that to 20 instead of 10, and you can see that that's been changed. So let's do freezing now. So I'm gonna just create a new object. Let's do circle, we'll say circle object, and we'll set that to have a name of circle1 and a radius of 30. All right, so we have a circle object. Now I'm going to freeze it with object.freeze, and let's pass in here circle object. And then what I'll do is just let's grab this here and just get rid of the let, and then pass in circle object so we can see exactly what was modified. So if I do that, and let's just comment that out. So we have our name and radius properties, and if we look at configurable, that's false, and if we look at writable, that is also false. So if we try to, let's see, we'll just go right here, and let's try to add. So I'll say circle object.color and set that to blue. If I do that, you see the color was not added. If I try and delete circle object.name, save that, you'll see that the name is not removed. Now if I try to add on, let's say circle object, I'm sorry, not add on, if I try to change something, so I'll change the name to, let's say, new name, and save, and if we look at name, it's still, the value, if we look right here, the value is still circle1. Okay, with sealing, we can modify existing properties. Now, there's also a method called isSealed and isFrozen. So what I want to do is use that on the circle and the rectangle. So let's say console log, and I'll put a string in here and say rect object is sealed, and then let's log object. So object dot is sealed, and then pass in the rect object. If I do that, we get rect object is sealed true. So now I'm going to copy this down a couple times, and I'm going to check if rectangle object is frozen. So with that, we can say, we can use the method isFrozen. All right, and then I want to do the same for the circle object. So circle object, and circle object is, this one should be frozen, because I just want to show you something here. So if this is circle and circle. All right, so if I save this, we get rectangle object is sealed true, rectangle object is frozen false. Circle object is sealed true, circle object is frozen true. So if we freeze an object, it's also sealed, right? Obviously, rectangle is sealed because we did it here. However, it's not frozen, right? We didn't freeze it. But with the circle, we froze it, which of course would give us true here, but it also gives us true here because it's also sealed. Because sealed is when configurable is true, and when you freeze, configurable and writable are both set to true. So I just wanted to mention that. All right, so I know that this stuff can kind of get a little confusing, but and it's not something that I personally have used a lot, but I'm trying to, I'm trying to include everything I can in this course so you guys get a really good all-around idea of how objects and properties work.